Hey everybody, welcome to Love and Relo, the voice of the relocation industry. I am your host, Ben Cross, and I'm so blessed and honored to be here today on my birthday with Rita Hernandez from PremierDS. What's going on, Rita? So good to have you here on this special day.
Thank you so much, Ben. First of all, happy birthday. Thank you so much for
Thank
spending this
you.
amazing day with me and with everybody. I was
Yeah.
going to say happy birthday to you, but maybe next time.
Yeah,
Thank you so
maybe
much
next
for
time.
having me.
Maybe after at a conference or something. One time I went to a conference and get in the comments here. Hit that like button. Get in the comments. I want to know who you are, where you are, and we will give you a big shout out. We're gonna be talking DS. We're gonna be talking LATAM. We're gonna be talking all that stuff. WERC, Eura, everything. So get in the comments. Ask questions. If you got them for Rita or myself, whatever. We'll definitely prioritize your comments, your questions. But I was going to say, Rita, one time I went to a conference on my birthday in San Juan, Puerto Rico, and it was so much fun. We ended up at the Bacardi factory, distillery, whatever, and on my birthday, and we were at some mixology class with like 40, 50 people, and they ended up singing me happy birthday over Bacardi. It was incredible. So,
That's amazing.
yeah,
Definitely
this
the place to be.
This industry is just incredible like that. The people you meet and the friends you make in this industry is just, it's really priceless.
Absolutely. It's such a huge opportunity. Obviously, you wrote down my history and relocation in 35 years. I've met so many amazing people at conferences, client meetings, client summits. It's an industry that without each other, we really couldn't be successful. So it is a huge, one of my employees that joined us at ERC said it was her first time. And she said it's like a huge family and it's a
Well,
family reunion.
yeah, it is. It is, and I think that's why when you get in this business, you stay in it because the people are just wonderful here. We got people checking in here. Hit that like button. Get in the comments here. Jana checking in. Truly happy to hear from you today. Rita, happy B-Day again, Ben. Thanks, Jana. We,
Thank you, Jana.
we love Jana.
Thank you. I'm here because of you. So thank you, Jana.
Yeah, Jana's an amazing connector, and that's why we love her on the global team because that's such a part of what we do. But talking a little bit about Premier DS too, and you talked about your 35 years in this business, but tell me, like, how did you decide to get into or to start, Premier Destination Services? What was that thought process like to kind of go into this line of work with this company?
Sure, absolutely. Actually, I come from the RMC world and from the HR world, and I was at Wyndham International, and they relocated me here to Florida in 1999. And part of my role was to sell in Latin America, but I had a lot of challenges because the decision makers for Latin America at that time were not in Miami, right? They were sitting elsewhere in the world. So as I struggled to sell for a year, um, I realized that I was not in the right position in the right market. And so I went to my amazing boss at the time, and he said, "Why don't you come back north?" Because I grew up in New Jersey. And after being in Florida for a year, it was very tough to consider going back north. And at that time is when I decided to start Premier. And I started contacting my friends from the industry. And I started to work as a consultant before I actually registered Premier
Really?
Destination Services. So that's how it all started. It was a decision of not going back to New Jersey to the snow and the cold.
Where in New Jersey? Because I grew up in New York. Where in New Jersey did you grow up?
In Dover, New Jersey, Morris County.
Okay, Morris County. Very cool. And you made a comment, and I want to get into kind of your journey, once you started Premier. But you made a comment that I thought was really interesting. And real quick, shout out to Vanessa here. I see you there. Get in the comments here. I want to know who you are, where you are. Hit that like button. But you made a comment about when you're selling, LATAM, let's say, or you're selling in Miami, and the the decision maker sits somewhere else. That's like a disconnect and a problem that I've observed quite a bit. Tell me, why is that? Why does this disconnect kind of exist?
I think that historically, because here we go, right? 23 years, 24 years later, it continues to happen where either multinationals are very decentralized and they have the decision makers in the various locations. We are seeing a little bit more centralization in a cluster of countries. So a decision maker for Chile, Argentina, Brazil, Peru
Okay.
sits in Argentina, for example. But historically, based on the multinationals that we manage from the RMC world, a lot of times we feel that the RMCs have the global agreements when we see the names or we're working with certain companies. But then we realize that a lot of the regional business doesn't come through the mobility program. So I find myself constantly going back to our partners saying, we have an opportunity in Brazil, and we get the green light to approach them in Brazil because they're not part of the agreement. Why that happens, Ben, it's a mystery. That's how the multinationals decide to manage. I know that we go through cycles, right? Our industry is cyclical. We have clients that decide to consolidate and outsource and do their very best to get to all of their countries to be able to implement the accounts, but a lot of local offices want to continue to use their own providers and continue to manage the way that they've been doing it for years. So that is our daily challenge, what I'm describing, and we work very closely with the various RMCs to help them in implementing locally. And we are extremely lucky that they opened that door for us. They let us sit at the table, they let us go through our and everything that we bring as part of managing LATAM. So we are very, very thankful for that.
Yeah, and I think that's a really great way to characterize it. I see this all the time where, I talk to service providers that are, whether they're in LATAM or they're in Africa or they're in EMEA or they're in, APAC, and oftentimes the decision sits in, a lot of times in the United States. Sometimes if they're a German-owned company or a French-owned company or whatever that sits, in that country. How often would you say with a multinational, how often is it managed from headquarters, the mobility decisions for all regions managed from headquarters, and how often would you say that it's managed in that region?
Oof, that's a very tough question.
And don't worry, I'm not going to fact check you.
I can tell you.
It's totally opinion here.
Exactly. Thank you for that. Because because a lot of our business, a large percentage of our services come from the RMC world, it's hard for me to really pinpoint that answer for you. But I can tell you that as we implement accounts locally, a lot of the local HR or mobility people in the industry have a lot to say when it comes to headquarters mandating that the service is now outsourced and that we are coming in to provide support. And I think that's our biggest task as we implement new accounts, is to help everyone see that we are in addition to what they do every day. We're not coming in to take over their jobs. And like I was mentioning, the RMCs do open that door for us to sit at the table, to be able to explain how we work, to be able to go through how things work locally. We cover 36 countries.
Wow.
So of
36.
course we have our top 10, of course, with volume, right? The Mexico, Brazil, Argentina, Chile, Colombia, etc. And we are just very lucky that we are able to share our knowledge. Is one of the main things for us as a company, to be consultative, to give information, to teach, because that's what's going to make the operation a lot better.
Yeah, this is really good. I got so many questions here, and you enumerated those top five. Are those kind of the top five in order of volume, and is that kind of consistent, generally with relocation volumes in LATAM?
There's so many projects and so many new things happening. So, for example, I'll give you an example, Costa Rica. Costa Rica was one of our top locations, then it kind of slowed down a little bit, and now all eyes are back in Costa Rica, right? So our volume is so volatile and it is so dependent on what the multinationals do that our top 10 locations could change from quarter to quarter, just
Okay.
based on projects, based on new accounts. We work with mining companies, and maybe one quarter they're focused in Chile, but the next quarter they're focused in Peru. So all of a sudden, Peru becomes one of our primary locations. So it's very volatile. It's hard to really say, but Mexico is always our number one. Like they
Okay.
never fall from our number one, for example.
I've got questions. I've got so many questions about this, about where you see the growth and the countries and everything. But we have people checking in that I want to honor these folks here. Jillian in the house. What's up, Jillian? Brianna, happy birthday, Ben. Wow, Rita, what an interesting start in the industry. Yes, we're going to get more into that for sure. Please do put your questions in there. I need those questions. I want to hear those questions. We got Daisy checking in. Then hola, Rita. This is great. And Jack Jampel. What's up, Jack? Hey, shout out to Jack. Jack gave me a shout out on his call. I heard there was over 200 people on the call earlier, Jack. So that's awesome what you're doing out there, Jack. Shout out to you. Let's see, Teresa. Viva Mexico. I love it. This is great. She says kudos to the boss. Love it, love it. So many people have such wonderful things to say about you here. Claudia says, so honored to be part of the PremierDS team. Rita is a rock star in this industry and a great role model. Wow. How does that make you feel, Rita?
Amazing, amazing. It's, everybody gives me a lot of credit for where we are today, covering 36 countries, covering over 100 cities, having almost 200 consultants on the ground, being a full-time force of about 40. And I tell my team every day, none of this could be happening without them. So I am very, very lucky to have amazing people supporting the company, the operation, from our consultants to our accounting team, to our administrators, to all of the other providers that are part of our supply chain, right? Transportation providers, temp housing providers. So all this happens because of everyone else. So thank you. And thank you for the question.
Yeah, of course. Cristel, what's up? Love seeing my good friend here. Saludos, Rita. Y Ben, feliz cumpleaños. Hey, Cristel, it's good to see you. I love Cristel. Sandy McKinney checking in, another legend here. It's good to see you, Sandy. I love you so much. We got a question here coming in actually about your start. And sure. Vanessa says, what were the main challenges you faced when you started Premier? I love entrepreneur stories. I love founders. I love people that go out and they take a risk and they bet on themselves and they see an opportunity. And let's be honest, a lot of times it doesn't work out, right? We're honored to be sitting here today, surviving. But gosh, I know it's not easy, and I know there's moments where it feels like maybe it's not going to work or whatever. What were some of those challenges maybe early on that you faced?
Ooh. So when I started Premier, decided to not have a job and not have a steady income. I think starting a business, that is one of the biggest challenges as an entrepreneur, right? The first thing I did was I sat down. I had my severance package that I received because I had been with the company for several years.
Okay.
And I said, okay, how do I make this last, right? How do I pay my mortgage, my car, my insurance? How do I eat? How do I feed my children with this severance that I received until I get Premier? And like I mentioned, I started as a consultant, so I started to get a little bit of income. But I think that the financial hurdle is, I think, one of the challenges when you don't start with capital, obviously. And in this case, I started with very little money.
Well, you had something. You had a little
And
severance,
so,
right? You had a little something.
yes.
Yeah.
So I think that was one of the biggest. Once I actually started providing the service, um, because again, I was so blessed that I started contacting people in the industry and I started being a consultant. That also gave me a little bit to live on while I started designing my first logo and, trying to figure out how to register the company, um, and always seeking guidance. I think, again, I've had so many angels in my life, even before I started Premier. Even how I started in relocation was a very blessed moment for that person that opened that door for me to get into the industry when I was very, very young. And so I think through my path, I just need to be extremely grateful for all the amazing people. And at Premier, I would say maybe the financial startup was my biggest hurdle. Once I actually started being a consultant and putting that money into Premier and started invoicing from Premier and started
Right.
saying, hey, this is real. And at
Right.
that time,
This is
I
real. Yeah.
was, yeah, and at that time, Miami was the Latin American hub for the multinationals. So at that moment, it was a very rewarding time for Premier because we started working right away. I started to get new consultants right away. One of our consultants here in Miami have been with us for 22 years. So immediately I started getting more consultants and figuring out all the financial side of the business and learning a ton.
You talk about that angel who kind of believed in you and gave you that chance and gave you that first piece of business. I mean, I remember, when I started Glomo, I very, very firmly remember my first two clients that without them I couldn't have stepped out and made it work. And you said something else about making it real. And there's something about getting that first check with that company name on it that you just make up, right? You just made up that name. You said, okay, we're going to be Premier Destination Services. And then somebody writes that on a piece of paper with a big dollar amount next to it and hands it to you. And you're like, oh, crap, like this is real. That's a moment,
Yeah.
isn't it?
It's an amazing moment. It's an amazing, amazing moment.
I feel like, and you talked about designing the logo. For me, there was like three key moments where it just got realer, right? One was like when you name it and you design the logo. Then somebody actually sends you money to that company name. That's like, oh, okay, this is somebody else believes in this. It's not just me being crazy, right? And then the third one for me was when somebody actually quit their job at a real company and came to work at my company, right? And you're like, oh, now somebody like is betting their family on it, is betting their livelihood on this thing, and it's like, okay,
I've
so
never seen it that way. Thank you for that. I actually, that third one, I had not made that connection. So thank you for that.
yeah, I mean that's I mean I remember for me it was Jana, right? So Jana was that first person to come to Glomo, and it was like, and she had a job. Like it wasn't like she just had nothing else to do, and she just like, oh, I'll try this out, see what happens. Like she had a job. She was working at a real company, and she took that leap, and things got even realer because it wasn't just me messing around, but it was now okay. We have a real company, right? So. Anyway, and
That's
so and
wonderful.
so and so with that, and I feel like you're this way too, and I can see the way that people are talking about you, so I can infer this, but you take that very seriously. You take providing for your people and your clients. I mean, I can just tell. I feel like you take that very seriously, and it means a lot to you, that responsibility. Talk a little bit about that first client or that first couple of clients. Like, how did you get folks to kind of believe in you and in Premier in the early days?
A lot of it was promising, right? I became part of the Chambers of Commerce here, the Beacon Council, which is the development agency for Miami that sets Miami as a location for business to come to. So a lot of my initial clients were direct clients that I acquired through my sales efforts with the local market. So I started working on some pretty big projects because of the Beacon Council. So that's another area that I was very grateful to be connected with very early in the process of Premier, that allowed us to grow pretty quickly with local clients, big names, but local clients.
Well, and I can tell also that so many folks look up to you and what you've built. We have a couple more questions coming in. I'm going to get to those, I promise. But I just want to stay here on this entrepreneur journey real quick. What advice would you give to women and men who look up to you and say, "Hey, I want to do that one day"? What advice would you give to those folks?
I would say do it. Absolutely take the leap. If you have a dream, if you want to do something different, go for it. You can always come back. And I had moments, Ben, where I said, maybe I need to get a full-time job. Maybe I had one of those months that I, didn't go so well. I had many moments through the 23 years that Premier has been in business where I said, do I keep the consultants working and do I get a real job? Right? So it's just being persistent, being consistent, believing in yourself, believing in what you do, believing in the people that surround you and the people that believe in you.
Super cool. Yeah, get in the comments here. I want to hear your questions for Rita Hernandez. And now kind of flash forward here. Fernando says, what is your biggest challenge now considering the position PremierDS has today? You're obviously super well respected in the space, so your challenges have changed quite a bit. What would you say one or a couple are nowadays, Rita?
That is a tough one, actually, because
life's just so easy
we
now.
all
Everything's running like smoothly, and the business is just coming in. Okay, the phone's ringing off the hook,
Again, we are extremely blessed.
Yeah.
We get invited to RFPs every day. Our technology is amazing. I think the more you grow, and I'm going to say this very candidly, the more you grow, one of the challenges that I face is continuing to carry that company culture. Because our goal is to carry it to everybody that is involved with the business, right? We even train our providers to work like us, to answer their emails like us, to give the importance and the priority to certain items like we do, right? So I think maybe if I was to name a challenge is ensuring that our company culture gets permeated through everyone that is involved with Premier.
Yeah, and that's got to be challenging when you think about 36 countries, I think you said, right? I mean, that's quite a lot of different countries and cultures to have your culture in there and your way of doing business so that you can carry that brand forward. I mean, you talk about training, but is there kind of a secret sauce there for folks out there that are managing these disparate supply chains around the world? Because let's be honest, in relocation, we're basically a supply chain management and customer service industry. What advice would you give for somebody out there that's managing this supply chain across so many metropolitan areas and countries even?
For us, we are a little bit different because most of the people that primarily are consultants work strictly for Premier. So it's a little bit easier for us to train, to manage, to be able to pass on that way of doing business because they are Premier consultants. We have a few countries here and there that are an exception. So we're not a network of companies that may be a little bit more challenging because each of them comes with their own culture. So I just want to make that differentiation.
That's a big differentiator because a lot of DSPs use DSCs that do work for multiple DSPs. I mean, that's accurate, right?
Yes, that is accurate.
Okay, cool. I know a little something about this. All right, sounds good. Oh, and look, we got Pilar here. What's up? Hey, friend.
One of my rocks.
She's amazing. Yeah, I met Pilar in Spain, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, Pilar. If we met before that, I apologize. But I remember really connecting with her in Spain with Jana. Jana was there at the Euro conference, and we just had like the most amazing time. I mean, it was my first Euro, and Christelle was there, and that's where we like really connected on a meaningful like level, and just the depth of relationships I made at that one conference was just beautiful. Such an amazing crew out there at Euro. Is that a group that you've been involved with for a while, or what's been your experience?
Yes, actually, for many years. We are actually working on our EuroSeal. This year has been our year of certifications and our year of just like doing a lot of things that I've been wanting to do through the years. And a lot of that is thanks to Norman Vargas, who is our experience and development manager. He basically said, okay, Rita, sit down. We need to do this. We need to go through this. And so Euro is a big, big part of our lives. We sponsored the Euro event at ERC, and we had an amazing time. We go to Euro every year, either me, Pilar, and I, any combination of two team members for Premier, but we're always there representing and sponsoring. So yes, they are a very big part of us.
Yeah, shout out to Euro. And I'm sorry, everything I said about Pilar in Spain, I take back. None of it happened. I'm just kidding. I'm not allowed to tell. Apparently she's invoking my NDA. I'm not allowed to tell them. Sorry, Pilar. Nobody's watching. It's fine. No, just kidding. It was great times. We got some other questions coming in here. Keep those questions coming in for Rita. Hit that like button. Get in the comments. I love your questions, and I love following your curiosity. The show is really about you. You are the voice of the relocation industry. So get in the comments, and we will ask Rita. We got her here. She can't go anywhere, so you can ask her whatever we want. It's gonna be great. Let's see. You're stuck. She's totally stuck. Daisy's got a question, kind of a more of a technical question here. She said, sorry if I missed this, but what is the toughest LATAM country to make payments in? This is a very interesting question, because I was actually talking to a relocation management company, the president of RMC, last week or 2 weeks ago. And they were talking about needing help in certain countries, and they had a kind of a list of some problematic ones. What do you think about this, Rita? Where is it hard to make payments?
So my answer is going to be none. And the reason why none is because we provide the support. So here's my sales pitch. I actually own 4 other companies in Mexico, Chile, Colombia, and Brazil. Colombia, Chile, and Brazil, and Argentina. I think Argentina. I take that back. Argentina is the toughest.
I take it back. But, Argentina.
Yeah, Argentina. But we have several currency control locations, which means that the central bank controls money that comes. And so a lot of the vendors, the landlords, etc., don't want to receive payments from abroad. And that's why in the US, we see that as a huge challenge, right? Because we don't want to pay management fees or to hire someone like me in our company to make these payments for you. You want to make them directly and avoid that middleman. But in those particular countries where primarily providers and landlords don't accept payments from abroad, that's the solution that we bring through the other companies that I own in Brazil and Chile and Colombia and Mexico. So I hope I answered Daisy's question.
Yeah, Daisy, let us know. Brazil is also challenging, isn't it? I mean, there's a lot of AML stuff going on, anti-money laundering, it feels like, protections. There's just challenges, that I've even personally experienced sending money, to Brazil. Is this a service that like a relocation management company might reach out to you and say, hey, I need you to facilitate payments in this country? I mean, is this something that you do separate from the DS work that you do?
We do it in combination of. So we provide tenancy management support for the assignees that are in country that are not receiving their allowances in payroll. So it all has to do with their compensation and benefits and how the company manages their allowances, if the RMC is managing the payments or they're depositing the funds in their payroll or how it's being managed. So there's a lot of details and intricacies that go into that. But if their payroll stays, let's say in the US, or the RMC is in charge of making those payments, that's where we come in. And so we invoice the RMC, we receive the funds, and then we send all the funds to our entity locally. And to your question about money laundering, it is very controlled. And that's why the central bank controls every penny that goes into the country in the three that I mentioned, Colombia, Chile, and Brazil, right? So every time that we send these thousands of dollars to make school payments and rent payments and car and driver payments, we need to prove to the bank, to the central bank, why are we sending all that money? So we have to show all of the backup, all of the contracts, every single time that we make payments. So every month. So we actually have the person in the company that manages all of our tenancy management for those 3 locations.
Well, Daisy is giving you an endorsement here and saying Premier has definitely saved the day on making payments in those difficult countries. Thank you so much. All right, nice,
Thank
Daisy.
you, Daisy.
Let's see. Brianna's got a question. Keep those questions coming here. We'll definitely prioritize your questions. Brianna says, speaking of company culture, Rita, what do you hope people think of when they hear the name PremierDS?
So we have a slogan, PremierDS means peace of mind. So for us, we want to ensure that when you come to us to find a solution, that you can trust that we're going to do our 110% to make sure that whatever it is that you're asking of us gets done. If they're asking the impossible, we will probably say, this is not doable, but here's another option, right? This is how. Our company culture is not to say no, but to find creative solutions on how to resolve the challenge legally and every other way, right? So that's where the education comes in, Ben, because I think that a lot of people don't understand our markets. And sometimes they ask for things that are simply not doable, right? We have this assignee coming in and they want a 5-bedroom single-family home in Polanco. Well, that's never going to happen.
Yeah.
Right? But it's just a lack of knowledge. It's not.
Tell me a little bit about that, though, because I think you're right. I mean, that's one of the reasons our companies exist in the relocation space is because people don't know how to do business in say other countries or other regions. I mean, or transferees don't know how to do X in this new area, and I mean that's really why DS companies exist. And I'm curious. I mean, you're in 36 countries, some of which have wildly different regulations and things. What are some of the more common, I did not know that pop up when you're doing business in LATAM that you have to educate your clients or assignees about?
Amazing question. I would say.
Well, thank you. I work really hard at it.
I would say cost of living, because
really?
A lot of people feel that you can get an amazing home in Bogota, Colombia for $3,000.
Yeah, well, that's what I think.
That's not correct.
Oh.
Go more to like the $6,000, $7,000
US dollar range.
And that US dollars.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of what we help everyone in the industry is to understand primarily what the real estate markets are, because a lot of companies set the allowances and set everything for the assignee. So I think that's one of our biggest challenges, is not having the appropriate budgets based on what they're looking for. But again, that's where we come in, right? Once we get the authorization and we start seeing what they're looking for, where they want to live, what their budget is, that's where we come in to educate and to help.
Now, is this problem a perception issue? Like, oh, it must be cheap to live in Bogota? Or does it have to do with the exchange rate between, say, the US dollar and these local currencies, or changing, dynamics in these economies? I mean, is this more of a recent issue, or has it become recently more challenging? Walk me through some of those dynamics if you don't mind.
I'm going to say that based on my 20-odd year experience in LATAM, I think landlords started realizing, I don't think that is a reality of the market. It happens in very specific expat locations. And our challenge is that if one multinational doesn't pay it, another one will. So the landlords are getting very savvy, and the developers are getting very savvy to know that they have a specific market that they cover, right? Expats coming into my country. But then we have the same foreign people coming in, but they're under a local policy, or they're on the permanent policy, and they don't get the housing allowances that the expats do, right? So our challenge is to say, okay, Rita, you're coming in under a local policy. Your budget is this, but you want to live in these expat areas that are probably time and a half from what your personal budget is, right? So that's where the challenges come in, I think, in terms of the housing side of the services that we provide. Is really educating, and that's why it's important that we start educating up front, not when we already have the assignee and we already have the issue, because they get pretty upset when we tell them that they cannot get what they're looking for, right? But if we actually start having those conversations from the home location, from the host location, HRs, from the RNC, and we're all saying the same message along the way, it would help us greatly as a DSP to be able to deliver even more exceptional service.
You talk about, thank you for that. You talk about services, when I have people on the show, everyone's an advocate for their kind of service vertical and their piece of the relocation puzzle as it fits together. Everyone thinks their piece is the most important piece. But DSPs provide a lot of different pieces under the umbrella of DSP. So I have to ask you, as someone that provides a lot of different services in a lot of different countries, which one, in your opinion, if you're talking to clients, is the most important, mission critical? If you only do one thing through your DSP, it has to be this. What is the most important thing? And does that change by country? If so, how?
Absolutely changes by country. Because we provide immigration and destination services, I'm going to answer that question from the immigration side. Okay. Primarily because if we're not able to get them a work because they don't follow strict must do, then we're not going to have a relocation, right? We're not going to have a DSP service. So I'm going to answer it from the immigration side. I think it's imperative that when a company is relocating people to a particular location, they understand what that means from an immigration perspective. What is the processing time? What are the requirements? Is my company registration up to date? Or am I allowed to bring expats into this country, right? Some countries require a certain ratio of locals versus foreigners. So having that knowledge, I find that sometimes we encounter those challenges because by the time that we receive the authorization, we start asking all of these questions, it could be too late, right? These questions need to be asked when you have the candidate, when you have that candidate coming from wherever into the region. Because of course, the rules also change depending on the nationality of the person that is coming into the country, right? And that's why, for me, immigration is a passion, because I think we learn so much with every single service. Not that we've done with DSP, but with DSP, you find in the home, find in the school, connect their utilities, help them buy a car, open a bank account, buy furniture, get the bed for their dog, get the gym, get bank club memberships, whatever they need to settle in. So it's a pretty uniform process. With immigration, you need to check the rules of the game almost with every single service that comes in, because the laws change, the processes change. Now all of a sudden you don't apply, making a line. Now everything is digital. So almost every single process teaches us something new.
Really, really interesting. It made me just think, when you move, and I know moving internationally, I mean, you're right, immigration is it's a non-starter. If you're not compliant, you get kicked out of the country. I mean, you gotta have immigration first and foremost. So that's an easy one. You're right about that, 100%. My question though, as I'm thinking about this, is a lot of these services that DSPs provide, are important no matter where you move. And we think of DS as an international benefit, but does anyone ever use it domestically, moving within a country? Like, is there an application there?
There is. We actually have clients within Mexico and within Brazil that we move because they're vast countries. Even in Colombia, we've had moves from Cali to Bogota and vice versa. So there is domestic moves the same way that we have them here. When I started a relocation, it was home sale and home purchase, right? We didn't have the temp housing companies or any of that. It's the same thing, but within the countries. It's a reduction of the service. You focus more on the home finding. Usually they keep their bank accounts. If this within the country, they may not even need to do anything with their driver's license. So a lot of the services that we provide to an international coming in are reduced because the need is not there. But there's still guidance in terms of where to live, what schools to register their kids in. So there's still room for assistance. It's just not, it'll be very reduced to what we do for internationals.
So the services that a realtor performs in the United States, are those services provided basically by destination service providers in LATAM?
Yes, and primarily because we don't have the MLS system that we do in the US, right? Mm-hmm. Here we work with one realtor, they go into a system, they're able to get all of the properties that are on the market, and there's no need to have more than one person doing that. And that's why DSP services for domestic US transfers are seldom needed, because we use the realtors to do that piece, right? In Latin America, because there is no MLS in most of the countries, we work as that central point to compile properties by working with different networks of realtors, websites, just our own network of people that we've met through the years that have been vetted and brought into our supply chain. So yes, we take that role to ensure that we find the home. The difference is that we're not realtors, and we don't collect any commissions. We don't collect any referrals from the real estate side. We collect the fee that our clients pay us. So that's the difference between
that's interesting.
The normal domestic.
Yeah, that's services. Super interesting though, and a lot of people would argue that that flat fee is better for the client than the percentage of the home sale, right? It's more economical. I mean, let's face it, right? RMC's number one revenue driver for many, many years has been the home sale rev shares, which is really interesting to see what's going to happen here in the U.S. because now with the buyer broker commissions and all that kind of the NAR settlements and everything, it'd be really interesting to see if it does go to a flat fee now, kind of much like it's been in the rest of the world.
Well, we keep an eye on that, Ben, because we cover Houston, the Metro DC area, and Southeast Florida. So we cover Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach counties here in Florida. So our procurement team is very much in touch of everything that is happening also in the U.S. market. Primarily, we manage rentals more than home purchase or home sales because of the policies that the assignees come in with. but it is something that we definitely need to keep an eye on also for the U.S.
South Florida, Houston, and DC. Not even the best city in Texas, not even Dallas. Okay. What made you choose these markets? They're not even close.
Well, that is a great question again. We don't choose where we want to be. Our clients bring us to everywhere we are.
Yeah.
So there is not one day that anyone in my team says, you know what, Rita, I think it would be great if we go to Turks and Caicos. No, we are in Turks and Caicos, but because we always have a client need. And that is how we open the markets, and that's how we are where we are today.
Yeah.
So Houston was a specific request for a specific client. The beauty of that is that we have one client that asks for a particular country, city, location, and we open it for them, but then we announce for everybody else that we're now there, right? And now we can help you there. So it's a, I don't want to say an easy growth plan, but it is a very rewarding work plan that all of the work that goes in to set up those locations, we are able to see the fruits of the labor by providing it to other partners and clients other than the ones that brought us there.
Well, it's a great strategy, right? When you have such a great reputation and such great client relationships, especially with clients that aggregate business like RMCs do, you know, it doesn't seem like it would be that far-fetched to say, hey, I'm opening up Dallas now, you know, turn us on for this market, right? And call us when you have somebody. So I'm sure you have a lot of growth in the future. Got to ask you, besides Turks and Caicos, what's the next market you're going to open up?
I don't know, actually. I think we're running out of countries.
You know, I always like to break news on Love and Relo, right? Breaking news, Rita is going to Grand Cayman. No.
Well, I can tell you, breaking news, we opened Martinique and Turks and Caicos this year.
There you go. I should have been invited for a ribbon cutting. I could have done a ribbon cutting. We could have had a cocktail party. We could have done a live show. It would have been amazing.
Well, I may overshare, but we are starting to plan our 25th anniversary. Oh. And it is going to be somewhere in LATAM. And so wait for an invitation because we would love to have you. It's going to be in August of 2026.
Okay.
And there's a lot that goes into it and a lot of logistics. So
beautiful.
Keep an eye out for it.
I love it. It sounds fantastic. 25 years, that's absolutely incredible. It's such a testament, again, to the client relationships and frankly, the team that you've built. And as I can see just in the comments, get in the comments as well, but I can see in the comments so many people have so much love and respect for you and for PremierDS. And as an entrepreneur myself, I know how hard that is to achieve and how valuable and how proud you must be, really.
I am. Thank you so much.
Yeah. But you know what? All the serious stuff aside, do you like to have a little fun, Rita?
Of course, who does not? And especially working in the industry, we need to balance our lives out a little bit, right?
Yes, there we go. Well, we've been very serious this whole show, talking about business this whole time. And everybody came here for one reason, okay? Everyone loves the segment at the end of the show. It's the cherry on top of the sundae. Shout out to Rob Zeitz. It's called Overrated, Underrated, Rita, okay? This is what everyone has waited for. Are you ready, Rita, for this game?
I'm ready.
Do you know how to play, Rita?
I believe so. I've seen enough of these to know how to play.
It sounds easy, but there's some curveballs, okay?
Oh, boy.
There's only 2 rules. I ask you about a topic, and you tell me if it's either overrated or underrated. Got it?
Got it.
The second rule is I will tell you if you are correct. It's not supposed to be fair, Rita. It's not supposed to be fair. Here we go.
I need to figure this out.
Yes, it's very tricky.
How am I correct or incorrect? Based on everybody's votes?
No, just me. I'm the decider. Just me.
Ooh.
My show, my rules, okay? My dime, my dance floor. Here we go. All right? But you do have the opportunity to defend your position, okay? I'm open to changing my mind on some things, unless it's coffee. All right. Here we go. You know what? You know what? No. We're gonna leave that. Number one, chocolate. Oh man, come on. Here we go. Number one, chocolate.
Chocolate.
Yes.
I'm going to say overrated.
Wow,
Because I don't eat
bold
chocolate.
move. You don't eat chocolate at all? Like even Christmas time or, in the Easter basket or a little holiday candy, no chocolate?
Once in a blue moon, I will have a Kiss or a Kit Kat. But actually, my husband says that I have made Valentine's Day so hard on him because I don't eat chocolate. So
That's fine. Just
it's
buy me
funny.
jewelry. That's all you say. Jewelry's easy, That's it.
But I could see how I could be wrong.
Okay. This, oh gosh, Rita, I've spent 50 minutes liking you and adoring you, and now I didn't know you were anti-chocolate.
No,
Okay, I didn't know
have
that
ruined
you're
it.
an anti-chocolatist. People are getting in the comments. Get in the comments. Save Rita here, okay? Because she's really going out on a limb. This is the most
How about if I
divisive
give you
thing.
something? I could give you something maybe to make me look a little bit better on the
I'm
chocolate.
open-minded. I accept bribes. Go ahead.
Perfect. So when I had a team that I managed at an RMC, I used to have a bowl of chocolate in my office. And I would do a 4 p.m. chocolate break where my entire team would come to my office and they would sit and we would chat and they would eat the chocolates that I had. I didn't eat them, but I provided them chocolate. Does that count?
If somebody invites me into a room and feeds me candy, and they're not having any, I think it's a setup. I think that something bad is going to happen to me. What's in the chocolate, Rita?
They knew me very well. They
You know
trusted that they could eat the chocolate.
I trust Sandy McKinney implicitly. She says underrated, which is also kind of a crazy take because chocolate's been rated for a long time. Claudia says, but what about the gummy bears? What about it? Is that the secret, Rita? Is it gummy bears?
Yes, that is my secret, Claudia. That is my secret. Gummy bears, Swedish fish. You can never go wrong. If you want to make me happy, if you've done something to me and you want to make me happy, bring me gummy bears or Swedish fish, and I'll forgive you on the spot.
I love this. Thank you. All the secrets come out of Love and Relo. See this? We walk around being these serious people with these masks on all day, and then it turns out we're just gummy bear freaks over here. Let me ask you this question. Who makes the best gummy bear? Do you have a particular type of gummy bear you like?
Actually, funny you say that. I'm not going to say the name, but I found these organic gummy bears that I now love. And it's a women-owned company. So when I got the women-owned certification, for some reason, I now look for that everywhere, in my food, in everywhere I go.
Sure.
And so I actually picked up the bag because I love these particular gummy bears. And I flipped the bag and I saw their logo, like the logo that we have in our
Like
signature.
the We Bank or something logo, yeah.
And they became my brand. From there, I only buy that brand. So yes, there is the particular brand that I do like. I can tell you about it later.
Why won't you tell me the name of it? What is it? Is it a secret? Is it because you don't want us buying all the women-owned gummy bears, or are we?
No.
Is that a bad word?
No, because we manage a client that.
Oh, you have.
Oh,
the
see,
drama.
now you're telling all my secrets.
The
the
drama.
drama that goes behind everything we do.
The gummy bear drama. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, you won't
Little
tell me,
did you know, you see.
But you don't know that we have stats and research over here. What is it?
Smart Sweets.
Maybe it's Smart Sweets.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
You said it, not me.
Look at Samara over here. Thank you so much. Samara's over here looking at Smart Sweets. Well, you may or may not prefer those to chocolate. All right, you know what? Everyone in the comments here seems to be with you. I do prefer gummy bears over chocolate. That wasn't the question, but I'll take it. So you get 1 point for Rita. Rita's on a roll, everybody. Let's cheer for her. Let's give her a round of applause in the comments. Hit that green applause button, y'all. Let's see what number 2 is. Number 2, overrated, underrated. Liquor. Don't ruin everything.
Overrated. I
Don't ruin
drink.
everything, Rita. Good, for the love of God, Rita.
And I
What?
cannot say that I gave my employees liquor. So that I
Oh,
cannot win. I don't
oh,
drink.
oh my
I
gosh.
had my kids very young then.
Oh,
So
bless.
we didn't talk about my family at all. So I have 3 boys that are grown men. And so I never had time to drink. And whenever I go out or went out, like I don't like the way people behave when they're drunk. So I always, no liquor for me.
Well,
But
oh,
benefit
okay.
to everyone that goes with me because they have a designated driver.
They have a DD,
Right? So
a slightly judgmental DD. I gotcha. All right. Okay. It sounds like my wife. Okay. Sounds good. Let's see. Sandy says overrated. Okay. So you got 1 vote for the liquor overrated.
Sandy.
Oh, Maron. All right, here we go. Sandy says over. You know, this one, Rita, you're really going on a limb. First of all, it's my birthday, okay? I mean, it's a bad day to take a hard stance on liquor. I'll be honest with you. You chose a really tough day. I don't
I'm
know
really
if okay, you know what? We got it. The comments are on fire here. Okay. Jillian says, Rita, I think we might be friends. We're on the same wavelength. We went to
you
lunch
see,
for my birthday, and Jill was the only one that abstained. Appreciate you, Jill.
you see.
Yeah, Jill's working at the wrong company. Maybe you have openings at PremierDS. Brianna says, if you drink, what would it be? What would it be?
So, when I was in sales, my manager always said to me, at least walk around with a glass of wine, right? Like he would actually give me a glass of wine for me to walk around in because everybody was doing it. I was okay with not doing it. I didn't
Yeah,
care that everybody else was doing it,
yeah.
right? I would probably, considering that it is said out there that a glass of wine could be healthy,
It's
right?
good for the heart.
Maybe wine is supposedly is good for the heart. I would say maybe I would try
For,
a delicious sweet wine. I wouldn't do like any of the,
for like
I just,
medicinal purposes, sure.
I just don't have a taste for it. Beer, ugh,
Yeah,
hard liquor, ugh,
that is
yeah.
true. If you've never developed a taste for alcohol, because there's like those first few times you drink it, you're like, why would anybody ever drink this voluntarily? I totally remember that. For me, it was 7th grade, but I totally remember that feeling. Okay, why I was drinking
Seventh grade.
I was drinking. Don't judge. I was drinking a warm Budweiser in the basement of David Bergman's house. We found it on top of the fridge. We shared it. It was a good day, but I was very curious why people would ever drink this. And then after like 5 Manischewitz, I've realized, okay, this is why. So I think, listen, God bless. To each his own. Don't drink. More for me. But, I can't give you a point here, Rita. And it's not
Oh,
personal. I love you
fine.
dearly. I
We're
respect you.
even, Steven.
We're even. You're 1-1. You're 500 right now. Jill said, Jill's pissed. I love it. Give you a pass. It's your birthday. This is great. Maybe a gummy flavored wine, perhaps. Something tasteful.
There we go.
Rob Zeitz, love you, man. All right, next one up here, the third one, overrated, underrated. Farmers markets.
I would say underrated.
Tell me more. Why do I need to go to a farmer's market when I can go to a Kroger or Walmart or something like that?
Again, farmers markets. Actually, I am more acquainted with farmers markets because my daughter-in-law and my grandchildren go to a farmers market. They were relocated to the Tampa area. And they
Okay.
buy their fresh eggs there. They drink smoothies every weekend. They buy all their fresh vegetables. And the nice thing for me here, close to where I live in Western Florida, I would have to drive down to Miami or far away. They have it on the corner. So for me, I think they're underrated. I think we need to support our farmers in our various areas. That's nothing against our Publix and our Whole Foods and all of the other options, but I don't know. I'm growing a weird love for for the farmers market, maybe for the experience that they're having when they go to the farmers market.
What's your favorite thing to buy at a farmer's market?
I would say the smoothies. Like I really love like the fresh fruit smoothies.
Okay. All right. I love everything you said, but I got one beef here. Okay.
Oh,
If I'm
boy.
going to a farmer's market, I'm going there and like I got like pumpkins, onions, and tomatoes or something. Like it's usually they usually specialize. They grow one thing, they have a few things, whatever. They bring it out. Cool, got it. Sounds great. Why am I paying more on the side of the road than I'm paying in the grocery store? That's all. I feel like I'm going direct to the source. I feel like I should get a little bit of a discount. There's no overhead. I feel like it should be cheaper, but it's not. It's like same price or more expensive sometimes.
I would say it depends on the farmer's market you're going to, right?
Is that
I
it?
think also it depends on small business support, right? Support entrepreneurs. See, I love it. Bring more. Thank you.
Everybody's on your side here. Everybody's yeah.
So see, but there are things that it's not about the money. It's about what it means, right? And everything that they're saying, what are you contributing to? And I think maybe you need to come down to Florida to go to a Reels farmer market based on your description.
I would need a hell of a
Here
discount.
they sell all fruits, all vegetables, fresh eggs.
Which one do your
peaches.
Which one do your kids go to in Tampa? Because I lived in Tampa for about 6 years. I'm curious if you know what part of town it's in.
It's actually Wesley Chapel. So Wesley Chapel
sure.
it's north.
Yeah.
It's about 20 minutes north of Tampa.
Yeah. Hillsborough County. My wife used to work up near Wesley Chapel. So
Pasco
yeah.
County.
Yeah.
Pasco.
Oh, Pasco
Okay.
County. Yeah, I worked in Pasco County and Trinity for a little bit. So okay, cool, very cool.
Okay.
All right, farmers market. I'll give you a point for farmers markets. Underrated. Okay,
I'll
sounds
take
good.
it.
Yes, you're 2-1. All right, let's
I'm
keep it
winning.
going. Let's keep it going. You're winning. You're over 500 here. All right, next one up here. Handwritten thank you notes.
So actually, that's something that we started doing at the company. And it's something that, like for me, I don't know, as you order things now from entrepreneurs and you get the things in the mail and they have a really pretty written note. So I don't know if you saw my sneakers, my branded sneakers at ERC. It's actually a 20-odd-year-old here in the Miami area that opened up her own business, and she does amazing work with the sneakers, and she designs and she does it on order. And when I got the box and I opened the box, it said a special gift for Rita.
Yeah.
And like this is the one and only, right? It's my pair of sneakers. Nobody else has them. Nobody else has. So for me, that is just something special. So it's something that we started doing in the company. We actually have, I do. So recycled paper, everyone. So, so we have these cards, and the goal is that our consultants just handwrite a welcome note, right, to the assignee to their home, and we leave them a little something or whatever. But just a nice welcome to your home, welcome to our country. Welcome, right? They feel that now they're part of this new community. So I think that we have lost that. I think we're so, WhatsApp someone or text someone or email somebody. I think that we should do more of that.
Yeah, no, I think you're totally onto something. I had a guy I worked with who wrote a handwritten card every day for a year. And he saved the card, and then he would save, if he got a return, he would save the return card as well. And I looked through that book and I read it, and it was just such an amazing book to read. You might start thinking.
That's amazing.
You might scan the cards before you send them out and keep them all, because it's just such a beautiful book of gratitude that also kind of memorializes each event in your life, right? So it's like, oh, it was wonderful meeting you at ERC, right? Thank you. Or it was wonderful. And now you're reading through it and you're just like, all these people that touched your life. And then, of course, the gratitude that you gave. And then, of course, the gratitude if they returned it. Like, I love it. I love it. It's the beauty of it, too, in a world where things are so impersonal and everything is done at scale. Everything like, oh, we're going to do an email blast, or we're going to send out a newsletter, or we're going to do something where, and it's the thing you just can't scale. Like you can't shortcut it. There's no shortcut to it.
No. So
yeah, you definitely get a point. You definitely get a point. You definitely get a point. I love it. I love it. I love it. Yep. All right. Rita's killing it. She's coming back here. Last one here. Overrated, underrated. I know we're over time here. Let's go. Gardening, overrated, underrated. I feel like you're in the farmer's market camp here with this one.
You're right.
Yeah.
So actually, there's something I didn't tell you in that a lot of people actually don't know.
More secrets.
COVID, more secrets. So through COVID, I actually took some time off from PremierDS, and I was out of the company for 3 years.
Wow.
And so I did a lot of gardening. I did things that I never had an opportunity to do in my entire life. And I really think that there's just a special connection, right? With the plants, with the flowers, with you going to purchase what you want, the colors that you want, how you mix them. I talk to the plants. One day my son heard me, I was watering the plants, and he's like, oh my God, you're getting old. Like you're talking to your plants, right? So literally, I think that there is a connection. And I recently read something, a feed on LinkedIn that said, if your plants grow when you talk to them, imagine your team. So it was a motivational line for team building and et cetera, right? So it is true. I think that not enough of us do it. I think that we also find ourselves in a world of paying everybody to do things for us. So we pay the landscaper to, take care of our garden, and we pay our pool company to take care of the pool, et cetera, right? So if you don't garden and you have the opportunity, and if you live in those cold states, just do it in the spring. But I think gardening is something that, I don't know, just gives you a different connection.
Yeah, there's something to having your hands in the dirt and looking at the bugs and looking at the,
You're on my side.
I don't want to be. I definitely pay people to do all that for me. But occasionally I do it myself. And occasionally I'm reminded how important. You know what? And I love having my boys out there in the garden and like, go pull this weed, go pull that tree, go cut that, go, like that. There's just a lot. There's a lot of goodness to it. So, yeah, definitely 1 point for Rita. Got 4 points today. You killed it. Did an amazing job. Rita Hernandez, founder, president, PremierDS, phenomenal entrepreneur, leader, icon in this industry. Rita, you want to leave us with maybe a final word before we depart today?
Yes, actually, there is something else that I do that we didn't have an opportunity to talk about. I think this hour flew by, and it's because you make it so fun, and it's been amazing. Thank you. But I am also the president for a foundation called Strength and Faith Foundation. That is a big part of my life. It is a foundation that helps patients that have spinal cord injuries. And so the goal of the foundation is to counsel, to help when you're inside and you don't know where to go, you don't know what your resources are, primarily with the family as well. And so I'm very involved with that. So I wanted to also share that with you and everybody listening. That is.
How can people learn more about that foundation or maybe get involved?
Thank you for that. We are going to start posting a little bit more about the foundation and my involvement with the foundation. We actually just had a fundraiser this past Saturday, and we are having a tennis and pickleball tournament in March of 2025 here in Weston, at the Country Club in Weston, precisely to raise funds and to continue to help. So I will be sharing more information with everyone.
Love it. Well, let me know. I'll definitely like, comment it, and boost it. Rita Hernandez, it's been wonderful getting to know you and having you on Love and Reload today.
Thank you so much, Ben.
Thanks so
Enjoy
much,
the rest
everybody.
of your beautiful birthday.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks, everybody, so much. And thanks for everybody that got in the comments today. Hit that like button. Give Rita kind of a virtual round of applause out there. Leave your comments and your love for her. And we will also have a show tomorrow with Lee Curtis and Reside 360. So stay tuned for that. Thanks, everybody. Take care, y'all.